What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the S.O.C. University podcast. I'm your host, Adam Duty. Of course, this podcast is dedicated to anybody that wants to be self-made, self-paid, or boosting their personal career, brand, or business. Podcast is dedicated towards entrepreneurs, fathers, and we're just helping you on your mental journey on the way there. Of course, while you're making money along the way. We got a special guest today. I'm super excited to have him. We have Ricky White in the building.
Hello.
Ricky White has a clothing apparel called Just Doing Life, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and we are super, super excited and happy to have you here. So, Ricky, we're gonna just start. I'm gonna let you just start off. You can give like a little background about what you're doing, and then we'll go into it deeply from there.
All right. So first of all, my name is Ricky White, as Mr. Duty had mentioned, and my clothing line is actually called Just Doing Life. And Just Doing Life, it really is it's a brand more so than just a clothing line. And the brand itself is supposed to be, at the base level, it's a daily reminder. It's a reminder to keep pushing forward, keep moving. Obstacles are going to come. You're not always going to have the answers. But, by wearing the apparel and reading the blog posts and the social media posts, you're supposed to feel motivated and feel encouraged, feel empowered. So that's the goal behind Just Doing Life. For me, it started with Just Doing Life from the perspective of I was at a point in my life, during the pandemic and literally before the pandemic where things just seemed to be kind of falling apart. And with that, it led to ideas. You always get these ideas. The people that don't sit still always have ideas. And 1 out of 10 ideas is like a spectacular idea. Like they're all feasible, but this was that 1 out of 10 ideas that I felt was something that I wanted to do. And it was, started from, the perspective of encouraging myself as well. I talk to myself on a daily basis. I know people like now it's normal. 15, 20 years ago, they'd be like, oh, he crazy. He over there talking to himself. And it's like, it's not that you're having a conversation full on with yourself. You're like going through scenarios, like trying to figure out how to handle problems or how to solve what's coming up that you didn't experience before, So it's really like self-empowering talk, it's self-affirmations. So that's where Just Doing Life came from. That's the basis on the base level.
Nice. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. And we'll get into that. Like, when I was looking at the site, I saw that on there about talking about that. Just keep moving forward and movement. And I love that. And I also love what you said about talking to yourself. Like, a mentor told me a long time ago, like, you got to master the art of talking to yourself because you're going to talk to yourself more than anybody. So I love that. Okay, so take me back to all the way back when you had the idea to actually start the brand. Like, were you doing another business there? Were you working a job at that time? Like, how did that come to fruition there?
Yeah, so I've been self-employed for the last 8 years, essentially. And, it hasn't been easy, but my primary field is multimedia, believe it or not. Like my degree, I have a Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree in multimedia design and production. So having that design background, I've tried a lot of different things, man. I've had jobs where I was a webmaster. I've had jobs where I was working in public relations for a hospital. So I was writing press releases as well as handling internal communications. So we're talking simple things like posters, newsletters, banners, the community newsletters, which go out to the community on a monthly basis, as well as internal things like photos for doctors and event videography going around the hospital. So that design background really paved the way for the apparel side of things. I've had, I think years ago, the first time that I was introduced to apparel was through our grandmother, believe it or not.
Okay.
She taught me to sew. She literally taught me to sew when I was, I want to say back in like 6th grade, maybe 7th grade. And I was literally sewing hammer pants which is funny because it's come back around already. You see people out here with these
Yep.
pants on. You're like, man, I was rocking those back when I
A
was in
long
sixth
time
grade.
ago.
Look, and on top of that, I actually sewed them myself. You know what I mean? With a sewing machine.
Yeah.
so, so I didn't realize that even those small seeds, because she was always the one that was, she would sew suits together. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
dresses and suits, and she had, you know, lower trousers or pants, or whatever, pantsuits that she would like literally cut patterns out, mark the markings on the material, cut it and sew it. And I was like the guy that she would say, "Hey, can you thread my machines?" Like literally two different sewing machines,
Mm.
thread them. And that was the only thing that she couldn't do efficiently. And I would be like, "Oh, I got this." Soup, 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 soup. You know, when you're young, like your mind is sharp. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that passion back then, I really didn't know that it would come back to lead to this. But when I was in that phase of developing like these MC Hammer pants, I was already thinking about other things. You know what I mean? I was like remixing. I would take jeans and cut the sides off, and then sew in new material in those empty spaces. So I'm doing that back in
Wow.
like seventh grade. You know what I mean? But it never really, manifested into anything then because in order for some things to manifest, you actually got to have the vision for it. And you have to have the
Yes.
passion for it. And not only having the passion and vision, you have to understand how it works and what it could become. And
Mhm.
if I had known back then that I could have taken that skill set and transformed it into, say a multi-million-dollar business today, I would have been on that journey. I would have been on that path. But that's not
Yep.
what was sold to me then. Nothing was sold to me. It was at that point, at that point, you really were just doing life, right? You were in the
Mm.
moment, you were learning what you could, but you didn't have a vision for what comes after that. So that still is a seed because now I remember, like, you know what? I was passionate about that then. And maybe it was because I was learning something new that other kids
Mm.
weren't doing. We got people outside running around the blocks. You got, friends that are getting in trouble. You're
Mhm.
getting in trouble. And you didn't think about the future from a professional business perspective. So
Right.
since my background was multimedia, the one thing that I've always done with that is I've had clients that were dance studios, churches, small businesses, startups, a lot of 1 and 2 man teams, other small established businesses that were more like a 3 and 4 man team. But all of that
Mm.
design, tons and tons and tons of design projects that weren't even clothing oriented. We're talking
Really?
logos, websites, print work,
Wow.
brochures, pamphlets, multi-page
Wow.
documents for colleges and universities and things like that, right?
Right.
All that design stuff, man, basically over the years, I realized helped me see things differently, It helped
Mm.
me
Okay.
understand layout from a different perspective. So basically, those things help fuel just doing life when it comes to the apparel design, which includes the shirt that I have on. Includes the apparel design. It also included, being able to promote through social media. So I understand how I want the artwork to look like. I understand
Mhm.
what size that I need. I understand I need multiple formats. I need a video format. I need a square graphic format. I understand that I
Mhm.
need a Facebook header. But that design
Mhm.
side of it helps fuel the just doing life side of it. And that's the one thing that I don't think people realize because most people don't know my multimedia background. They only see
Got
what
it.
they see now, which is the apparel for just doing life.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I understand that. Wow. And I didn't even think about that. I do remember you doing, graphic design and different things like that. And I didn't even think about that like, oh yeah, that's I wouldn't say a perfect transition, but you're already making those designs and everything for that already.
Yeah. And so for me,
Wow.
this is something different, It's like I haven't, so I wouldn't say that I've had any major successes. Yes, pay bills, take care of family, you know what I mean? Own your
Mhm.
equipment type stuff.
Yep.
flexibility to do a number of things. So like, because you're the Renaissance man, you're not the expert at one thing. You're
Yep.
skilled at many different things. That's, that's something that again helped lead into the Just Doing Life thing. But here's the thing. I never really personally promoted the multimedia side. So it's hard for people to understand what that side meant. My clients
Got
came
it.
word of mouth. It was never a
Okay.
co-branding like Ricky White Designs or whatever. Oh, but I'm also Just Doing Life and I'm also doing this. So I've never co-branded them for the purpose of eventually one day people really understanding how they merge together. So when they do see them, it's a bigger form of awareness. Like, oh, wow, it took all of these steps to get to this phase right here. And that's the
Got
thing
it.
with being an entrepreneur, as you would know, is that, there's not always one path that works for everybody,
Yes.
You may have a website that looks just like my website, but my website might be outperforming your website. Why is that? It's because I know a few more things about this path that you didn't know, right? And that's the one thing that I think all entrepreneurs are missing in some aspect is you got to get that data. You got to get that information. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there's multiple ways to do that. But hopefully that didn't take your question too far.
No, 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 no. That was perfect. That was perfect. So let's get into more deep of like talking to yourself and the mindset, because I do have another question
Let's
as
go.
it correlates to your business and when you started, right? So what was that transition like for you, specifically going from the graphic design to that? Was it something specifically happened? Because I'm all about like that point, like, okay, this happened to me, and then I make that decision, like, okay, I need to be doing this. Was it
Yeah.
something that you encountered? Did somebody say something to you? Did you hear that from God? Like, what was it that made you switch over to that?
Yeah, so I feel like God gave me this vision. And what's tripped out about this vision for me is that this really wasn't the first vision. You know what I mean? There's
Hmm.
basically been kind of like a trial run prior to this particular vision with the Just Doing Life apparel. So I have a site called
Hmm.
SoundCloud Music Reviews. Okay, so you know my background. You don't know all of the background, but I've been
Hmm.
producing music for a really long time. Like
Yep. Yep.
and I'm still producing music because it's part of my healing mental process as well. But
Okay.
so with that particular avenue or aspect or industry, SoundCloud Music Review, I started that for the sake of really trying to promote my own music, right? So I set up a
Mm.
blog. I'm driving down the street one day. I'm like, you know what? SoundCloud just launched. I'm on SoundCloud. I love the platform. How can I get my music in front of more people? And
Mm.
then driving down the street, something said SoundCloud Music Reviews. I was like, there it is. Write music reviews for other people, but make it niche, right? Only if you are an artist or producer on SoundCloud can I fulfill a music review for you. So now,
Got it.
so that site has been up. Now, don't get me wrong. I haven't maintained the site in the last year. I'm just being honest, right?
Hmm.
But here's the plus thing that I learned behind that. One, I had to build it from ground up. So website, logo, concept, writers, whatever, right? When I first
Hmm.
started it, I wrote all the blog posts. It was me listening to music saying, okay, this is what I think about the music, being honest, not necessarily having all the high tech sound engineer lingo, but still giving an honest opinion based on what my musical background was. So now,
Absolutely.
8 years later, guess what? That site is still up, right? And it gets submissions from all over the world. Literally, you get
Wow.
from countries that I have never even heard of, that I didn't even realize. And I'm not like, it's like no BS, man.
Yeah.
That right there taught me that it can be done, right? It taught me
Mm.
that a person with just a vision and an idea can literally reach the masses around the world. Now, I don't have the world budget, you know what I mean? Where I can just say, look, I'm going to drop $2,000 on this ad right here, and this is going to push that around the world. I didn't use any ads. That's what's interesting about
Mm.
it, you know? until today, like I said, when we first started, like I haven't maintained that blog in at least a year, but I keep it up because I know that I'll return to it at one point. But it
Got
still
it.
gets submissions. It still gets submissions from around the world, and people
Is
don't
that
understand.
you think that's because of the name and how you set that up specifically like that?
I think part of it is the name, and part of it is that it was something people were looking for. You know, it's you have independent artists that are looking for music reviews. Two things
Yes.
in that. You can go to a major outlet and you can pay, who knows, 150, 200, $300 for a review, right?
Hmm.
You could go to my site and you could pay 25, 30, $50 for a review, depending on what it is. I stick to single songs and not necessarily full albums. But the point is
Okay.
that they were looking for somebody to write a review that was niche, and they figured they could get in. So if you heard SoundCloud music reviews, excuse me, and you're on SoundCloud, the first thing you were going to think is that, you know, I'm on SoundCloud. I should be able to get a music review because I'm on SoundCloud. It's just SoundCloud music reviews. Even though we say we're not directly affiliated with SoundCloud, you know what I mean? The point is that it is, in a sense, tied to that platform because of the name alone, you know?
Yep.
I also tried to start that platform to get other kinds of exposure. You know, at one point I was getting sponsorships that were coming through. But the other thing too,
Really?
yeah, the other thing I was trying to do is I literally had applied for a job at one point in time for SoundCloud. And the job was like, I don't know, some sort of like media director here in the United States or whatever. So I was like, you know what?
Okay.
I'm a good candidate. Like, I understand the platform, the business side of it.
Hmm.
I've built a blog. I'm getting submissions type things. But it never panned out like that, man. It's like you still need that who you know and not
Yep.
always what you know. That who you
Yep.
know is valuable. But in order to make those waves, you got to do some off the wall stuff like this. You know, the average person is not going to be like, oh, I'm going to build a blog today for music reviews on this platform and call it niche. And then, you know, and then that's it, right? Most people
Yeah.
don't do that. You really have to, if you want to be seen and heard and understood, you have to do off the wall things or things that are outside of the norm, which may mean stepping out of your comfort zone. And that's what that was, you know, doing phone interviews and video interviews. And, you know, that stuff was out of my norm, but it
Really.
helped build a foundation, you know, even though I edit video, I don't like being on video. So that's what pushed me out of my norm. But the point is, too, is same thing with the just doing life side of it. As you asked, you were asking, like, what was that transition point? I feel like God was telling me this is what people needed. You know, they need that
Mm.
encouragement on a bigger scale. So, like, I have a problem that I'm always thinking, like, big scale. And for most people, that's not a problem. But
Hmm.
really, what happens is, well, okay, so let me back up. For most people, they'll say, whoa, you got an idea. They're like, it's a big idea. They're like, oh, that's great. At least you have an idea, right? But the problem
Hmm.
comes in when you're trying to put that idea into a production workflow and you're trying to make it, you're trying to evolve it into something that's tangible, something that actually can function, you know,
Mm.
as a functional idea. So you got this figment of imagination with this idea circulating around in your mind. Now you need
Yep.
to take that idea and put it into something that's practical, that's functional, that you know you can share with people and they can understand it. So that's where the challenge comes in. But again, the point of it was to encourage other people, encourage myself because I was going through some things as well. But on a bigger scale, just like SoundCloud music reviews, I set out to expose my own music. Well, what happened, you know, 5, 6, 7 months into the process, I realized that I was literally helping people. Like it became a
Mm.
platform that actually helped. So now that changed my focus. That alone, you know, when you get responses like, "Oh,
Hmm.
thank you so much for writing a review. Can't believe you
Yep.
guys picked it up," and then they read it, they're like, you know, even though it wasn't like they're getting 5 stars on their tracks or 4 stars, some of them
Hmm.
for me were like a 2 star, like a 1 star. But
Hmm.
what they loved was the constructive criticism. I didn't break them down
Mm.
like, you know what? You need to pick a different career. You know what I mean? You need to
Yep.
stop music right now. Forget writing, forget forget everything you knew about music, and you need to go take a cooking class. It don't matter what it is, but it wasn't like that. It was constructive, saying, you know what, thank you for submitting your music. Here's your review. At the opening, it sounded like this, but at this point, I feel like it was lost, or the mix was horrible, so maybe you want to go back and reduce that reverb. It's basic level insight, but guess what? If people have nobody to tell them anything, then
Yep.
they love you when you tell them just that much. And
Yep.
look, that much truth,
True.
not
It's
not
true.
fluff. You know what I'm saying? Not don't come in there talking about, oh yeah, man, you're the greatest person in the world. Only thing you got to do is just redo verse number 1. No, give them truth, even if it's only that much, and they'll appreciate it because you took the time to actually be genuine with them.
Yeah.
So me
Wow.
understanding how SoundCloud helped people help transform my thought process into realizing that people are people. We all need things, but even more so, we all want to be thought of. We all want to be dealing with genuine people. You know what I mean? So same
Absolutely.
thing with Just Doing Life is that the encouragement side of it, I'm trying to be genuine. You know what I mean? Like I'm just now, even though it's been in the works for the last 2 years, like I'm just now starting to share my story. The initial phase of it was me just promoting the brand. You know what I mean? Like literally
Hmm.
having problems. And what I mean by having problems is that you don't always. Okay, let me back it up. Let me slow down a second here.
No,
Here's
you're good. You're
okay.
good.
Here's the process. They say have a plan, right? Get a business
Yep.
plan. Get that business plan together. What if you don't know how to write that business plan? Okay. What if you
Hmm.
can't afford to hire someone to write that business plan?
Yep.
Will it stop you from attempting to move forward? For
Hmm.
most people, it's going to be a yes. For
Hmm.
me, it was a no, right? It's like I'm not afraid of challenge. I'm not afraid of change. I'm not afraid to try. So during the first year, literally, and even now, the whole process was trying to get the messaging down. It was like, get it started, get the messaging later. Yeah, you don't want to be off the wall. You don't
Yep.
want to say things that you shouldn't. You don't want to destroy your
Yeah.
business before it starts. But
Yep.
don't worry about the specifics of messaging and how you're going to brand it and your strategic plan to make things move. Just get it started and evolve. So I can't tell you how many times I rewrote the mission and the vision. I can't tell you how many times I
Mm.
rewrote the opening content for the website. I can't tell you how many times I have gone through this phase of, no, it could be clearer. No, it could be this. You know what helped me? Listening to other people in some regards. When someone sees the brand for the first time and they're like, oh, I get it. I get that. And this is why I get it. Or they say, oh, I love it because, I feel like I need that encouragement or I need this. Sometimes when I'm talking to you right now, obviously ideas come through. And
Yeah.
I remember recording a video to post on Facebook, and I said something like, we're building bridges, you know what I mean? Not breaking down walls, but we're building bridges. We're trying to enhance communication. And what's crazy about that is that in my head at that moment, it made sense. But I didn't script that. It's just, when I do videos, I try not to script them. I do go through a mental phase where I'm thinking about them, trying to
Thinking
think of
about it. Yeah.
each, right? But I
Hmm.
believe it was your mom actually that made a comment on Facebook about that particular phrase. And I was like, yeah. So now at the end of every video, I always try to end it with, just in life is here to build bridges, open mass communication, or however I say it. But it's because listening to people sometimes will help you understand you even more if they're being
Mm.
genuine. You know what I mean?
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. So onto the entrepreneurship role
Yep.
and your fatherhood role too as well.
Yep.
Like, can you talk to me about some of the challenges of those? Because I can tell you, me personally, like building a business and then still trying to maintain my family and balance those and set out specific time for my children and then specific time for my business. Sometimes those contradict the same time, and I'm like, oh, I feel guilty when I'm spending all
Yeah.
this time trying to build a business, but then I'm like, okay, I'm with my children. I feel guilty because I'm not putting as much time into the business that
Yeah.
I need. So can you give advice on that for those entrepreneurs and those fathers?
Man, that's tough, man.
Yes.
So I have two kids, obviously. I have an older one and I have a younger. My oldest is going to be 22 this year, right? My youngest is
Hmm.
10 years old. So the tough part for me over the years, and I've had to literally modify my lifestyle. But the tough thing for me is exactly what you said. It's like, you got the business side of it that you're trying to establish. You have
Hmm.
your family on this side that you need to balance and spend time with.
Yep.
But as an entrepreneur, some of the issues that arise are you have no cutoff switch, you know, because you're on the mind state of it's a hustle, if I don't work, I don't eat type thing. You start to
Hmm.
compromise your time. So at the end of the day, 7 p.m. comes, 8 p.m. comes, 9 p.m. comes. Sometimes you're back, you're on the computer, You might have just had dinner with your family,
Yep.
but you're back in the computer like, let me get this last bit of info in. I got till tomorrow. And so
Yep.
like I had to listen to my wife in that regards because she would say, you know what, let's just start planning things. So I had to force myself, and I'm talking about within like the last year, I started to
Mm.
force myself that like on a Saturday or Sunday, one of those days was a family day, right? So it was consistently became a routine, okay? But it doesn't
Okay.
mean that I don't get to work on those days. It just means that I need to set aside a period of time where we're doing something significant, okay, that counts. So it's not always just, oh, let's go out in the backyard and play around like that. It's more like, let's leave the house, let's leave the computer, let's leave all that stuff. Even if we just go
Mm.
to a movie, even if we go to a water park, even if we just go to the beach, even if we do something at least once a week. So my wife understands, when you're like the primary breadwinner,
Hmm.
there's things that you have to be flexible with in order to
Yep.
handle your responsibilities. Okay. So
Yep.
as long as you set aside at least one of those days to do something, and it doesn't have to be the full day, that's going to be something that's beneficial and works in your favor. So I don't have a problem with my kids at all. I mean,
Hmm.
my youngest son and my oldest son, I was accustomed to taking them to school and picking them up, or taking them to school and then picking them up. And then when homework came, I was obviously home to help with that as well. But as an
Yep.
entrepreneur, the other flexibility you have is that you literally, if you really wanted to, you could take off right now.
Yep.
Because ain't nobody going to really say, you're supposed to be at your desk. That's the part that I love.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
not, I don't love the up and downs, the financial up and downs, because that's always going to be there. When the
Yeah.
economy gets tight, the finances get tight, right?
Hmm.
When the economy is good, the finances are good, okay? And
Hmm.
then and on the off times when you're in between those, you have to be creative on how you navigate the financial industry behind things. The other things that for efficiency as an entrepreneur that I found helps me is that you got to try to group all your hardcore tasks at the point of the day when you're the most attentive or you're the most
Mm.
energetic. So for me,
Okay.
mornings are that's my time when I'm like pumped up, like let's go. It's like, I'm sitting down like da 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 da, and I'm moving, moving, moving. But by the time I
Yep.
get to like 2 p.m., it's like my
Hmm.
energy level is probably knocked down by 25, 30%. So what I've been trying to do is getting up a little bit early, set that alarm for 5:15 because I know 5:15 gonna go off. I'm not gonna get up at 5:15 every single time. So it might take me
Yep.
to 5:30, right? If I set my alarm for 5:30, it might take me to 5:45. I'm just laying there trying to get my bearings. But getting up early as possible before everybody gets up and the hustle of the day starts. And the hustle for parents and for entrepreneurs is you got to get up, get breakfast ready. You got to get the kids breakfast ready. We have two
Hmm.
dogs, so I also got to consider they got to go out in the morning. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
when I'm out walking them, I'm literally on my phone reading emails and reading notes while I'm walking around the neighborhood. If I need to in
Mm.
the morning, sometimes I'll put on an audiobook, put my
Okay.
headphones, and I'll walk around the neighborhood. It's because I feel like as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to multitask. And they'll tell you, the industry will tell you, multitasking isn't real type thing. It's not something that you really can do efficiently. You can't do multiple things at the same time. It depends on what those multiple things are. If I'm walking my dog, I don't really need a brain. You know what I mean? I just need to walk. I don't need to comprehend how many steps I got to take to get
Yeah.
around the block to get back in 7.45 minutes. You know what I mean? It's like everybody can walk and chew gum. You know what I'm saying? So I can
Absolutely.
walk and either listen to voicemails or I can walk and listen to an audio book. But the point is that I'm still learning. It's multitasking where the two tasks don't interfere with each other. And I think that's the part that people will say is why you can't multitask, because they're doing things that require the same set of skills or the same set of tools, and then it's a
Mm.
problem, right? That definitely is not true multitasking. Multitasking is being able to handle multiple things at the same time, and the goal is to do those things efficiently. Okay?
Mm.
So getting up
Okay.
early, so with the aspect of getting up early, that same thing flows throughout the day as well. Like time crunch, you know what I mean? Crunching
Yep.
time down to the most minimum element that you could actually utilize. So what do I mean by
Okay.
that? Things like dishes, even dishes, man. When you're home as an entrepreneur, you're doing a lot of things, man.
You are.
It's not just your work stuff. It's the fact that at some point your wife will be home or whatever, your partner, your kids will be home. You got to take care of the household, so things need to look tidy and all that. So for me, like at nighttime, before I go to bed, I typically will go into the kitchen and I'll do the dishes. Like I'll literally load up the dishwasher all at one time, but I put a timer on myself. I'm like, you know what? You got 15 minutes. And that goes back to talking to
I
yourself.
like it.
You got 15 minutes to get this done. So then that way I know, and then I have to keep in mind that I don't want to do this in the morning. Like, and even more so, I don't have time to do this in the morning because I got the
Yep.
kids, I got the dogs, I got to get myself together. I got to get up and get my work done before 2 p.m. when my energy starts to taper off, So that's one thing. The other thing too is if I got to run errands, I try to group them together. You know what I mean? So if I know that I need to go to the grocery store and I got to go to the post office, but I also got to go across town over there, I will move those to a specific time of the day when it's the most efficient. And sometimes it could be
Mm.
6 o'clock in the morning. There's some grocery stores that open at 6. There's some stores that are open 24 hours a day.
Yep.
If I can, I will pre-order to save time, like Target orders or wherever. I'll just pre-order online,
Okay.
have it paid. They'd send me an email saying it's on their way. As long as you pick it up, they're not charging you. So why not
Yeah.
utilize that service? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you need groceries? You're going to go to the store and spend 30 minutes walking around the store. And you know what 30 minutes turns into if you're literally there on a true grocery store run? 30 minutes turns into 45. It turns into an hour. And in the midst of
It
that,
does.
you're checking your phone. You got social media stuff popping in. Maybe your
Yep.
wife called and was like, hey, can you grab this over there? So to avoid that, to avoid spending extra time, to avoid spending extra money, because as soon as you start walking around looking at things, you're picking up things that you really didn't
Other
intend to
stuff.
get. So now you're
Yep.
spending more money and you're spending more time. Order that junk online. I don't care if it's milk, meat, cereal, whatever. Order it online, pick it up. Because on your
Mm.
way there, you could be taking a Bluetooth call in your car, and you just got out the house because we need breaks as entrepreneurs. Like we need
Yes.
mental breaks, we need physical breaks, and we need them spiritual breaks. You need everything as an entrepreneur. So in order to free up that time, you've got to do things like these productivity hacks, which again, ordering stuff is a productivity
Wonderful.
hack. Yeah. And then the other thing too is from the physical side of it, like been diagnosed in the past with depression, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
OCD, ADHD, whatever. There's all kinds of things that we as entrepreneurs deal with. And some of that is not even like work related. Some of that is just is culture related. You know what I mean? Like black
Yep.
man in America.
Yes.
We need therapy
Absolutely.
every day.
Yep.
So
Yep.
with that being said, getting up early in the morning, sometimes for me, except for this morning, I try to get up and ride a bike or do some exercises. Got like a medicine ball, got some of those yoga bands or whatever. But the point is that if you sleep well, even decently well, and you're eating decently well, I mean, not perfect, but you
Hmm.
also getting in that physical exercise. I think all of that contributes to the wellness of an entrepreneur. You know, and
Yeah.
people say, "Well, I don't have time to work out." It's like that's one of the reasons that I don't mind having the dogs. It's because it forces me to get out the house. You don't want them to take a crap in your living room, right? You know what I
Yep.
mean? So you're going to force yourself to get out and take that walk. Now, if you want to turn it into exercise, instead of walking 1 block, you walk 2 blocks. Instead of walking 2 blocks, you walk 3 blocks. Again, you're multitasking. You are literally walking your dogs who have to go out. There's no way around that, right?
Mm.
At the same time of walking the dogs, you're either taking calls, returning calls, or you're listening to audiobooks, right? And the third thing within that multitask tri-unit is the fact that you are literally exercising. So now you just killed 3 birds with one stone. And you've
Absolutely.
all within the period of 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if you're feeling super ambitious with your walk. But that's three
Hmm.
things where you save time, you've capitalized on the moment, and you multitask without, again, interfering with the same tools and the same resources to get it done.
Wonderful. No, that's good stuff. I'm so I definitely have to start ordering groceries. That's a big thing for me because you hit it right on the head. I mean, as being an entrepreneur, like you said, with the money's coming in or it's not coming in, definitely have to keep everything tight on a strict budget. And I
Yeah,
can see myself going in, getting 5 things, and then I come back with a full basket. Either my kids are with me, and I'm like, oh, they'll want this or this, or I'm
yep.
like, oh, I always wanted to try that, and I'm like, no, I have to cut that down. So I'm definitely going to try that. I think that's good stuff, really good stuff. So you said something too, that was really interesting to me. Um, I'm very, very big on mental health. I think mental health is so important. Like that kind of goes back along with, like you said, with talking to yourself too as well.
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about like some bumps in the road that you came across as being an entrepreneur and what you did or what helped you get out of that, specifically in the business that you're in right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So, okay, so, as an entrepreneur, you can get overwhelmed, okay? The problem with being an entrepreneur sometimes is that you can take on too many projects,
Mm,
okay?
yeah.
Like, you're trying to keep the money flowing as an
Mm,
entrepreneur, and I'm gonna tell you where I got part of this reference from also. But as an entrepreneur, you take things on, and later you're like, okay, why did I do that? Like, why did I take this? I didn't realize it was going to take me this long, or you didn't understand the agenda or whatever. You didn't understand what the
okay.
project was truly about. Okay, so in those instances, I've had to outsource. Like, I've had instances where one, my emails
Mm,
were freaking overflowing, and like as an entrepreneur, most of us have like 10 or 20 different
yep.
email
Yep.
accounts.
Yep.
So I tried to streamline that. Like, you have the separate email
Okay.
addresses because each one of them serves a specific purpose. But
Yep.
the one thing that even like Gmail, and a lot of people use Gmail. I love Gmail. Like, I have the Gmail free accounts, and then I also have the
Mm,
Gmail like workspace paid account for a different email address. Okay.
okay.
So, but with any Gmail, you can literally import up to, I think, 7 external email accounts so that
Mm,
everything is flowing through one box. So that's the one productivity hack where when you're feeling overwhelmed, you know you don't get to all of your email addresses every day. Even though they may be locked into your phone, it's that the fact that two of them are on Gmail, one of them is on self-hosted platform because it's linked to this website. Another one may be an old Yahoo or MSN or Microsoft.com email. The only reason you keep it is because you got subscriptions tied to that one, or the people who haven't emailed you in the last 5 years don't know your new email address.
Don't know your new one.
So what you do, I open up Gmail and I say, look, I got 7 email accounts, and I think you can send from up to 4. No, you can send and receive, I think, up to 7. So what I do is just basically conglomerate all my email addresses into Gmail. Once you add them into your account, you can send as, say, Ricky White, but then I can also send as Just Doing Life, or I could send as Ricky at Black Eagle Marketing, all from the same inbox. So that's one of the productivity hacks that that small feature in Gmail has helped greatly. The other thing is outsourcing. I've tried virtual assistants. I want to say over the last 6 or 7 years, I've probably had about 4 or 5 different virtual assistants.
Really?
The latest ones, I don't think that I was as forgiving as the earlier ones, because you get to a phase where, you want things the way you want them. There's no way around that. Like, you just, either it's because your experience has taught you that your thought process is sharp, right? You know the business, you know what that flow takes in order to be successful. So you stick to that. Well, the problem is that when these virtual assistants come in, some of them are not ready for your personality. It's not that you're wrong. They're just not ready for your personality. It's like, for me, it can be tough on them because I do so many different things, right? So if they're coming in as a virtual assistant, I'm not saying, look, you're going to spend 30 hours this week doing this one thing, because that's not the life of an entrepreneur. The life of an entrepreneur is that you're the CEO, you're the CFO, you're the salesperson, you're the director of creativity, you are the art director. You know what I mean? You're playing all these roles. So when they come in and they're coming in to help you, they have to understand your role and they have to understand what you do. So what I do is I test them every single time. Like, if a guy comes in and he's like, I want to say 2 virtual assistants ago, a guy came in and he was like, look, he's like, oh yeah, I can do web database development. I can do social media marketing. I can do lead generation. I can do graphic design. I can do email layout design, all these different things. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go. So I'm already like, let's go, son. So I said, look, all right, here you go. Here's a web page. Tell me what's wrong with this CSS code. You know what I mean? Here is a video project. What I need you to do is I need you to just add text. Here's the videos. I downloaded videos. So I need you to add this text to it, okay? Here's a logo. Here is my drafts, but I need you to come up with 3 additional drafts. And I would just hit them. You know what I mean? Hit them. You say you can do all these things, and I'm testing based on what they told me, what's on their resume. I had this guy admit afterwards. I was like, you know what? After reviewing these 9 projects that I sent you, it wasn't one project, bro. After reviewing these 9 projects you sent me, I've come to the conclusion that your resume is not what it seems to be. I said, so be honest with me. Tell me the truth. What can you do and what can't you do? And then that's when he was like, oh, you're right. I can't do this, this, and this. Or, I know a little bit about that. I was like, well, don't tell me because it's the wrong person. I said, things that I'm sending you are things that I know how to do. I can do these things. Yep. And what happens in this industry, as in most industries, I'm in the multimedia sector. So if someone says they need a flyer, or they need a motion graphic, or they need video editing, or they need concepts for whatever, that's my realm. Multimedia encompass graphic, print, video, animation, audio, whatever. That's my realm. Yep. That's my realm. So if I'm looking for a virtual assistant, the goal is you got to find someone who is close as possibly matched to your skill set. And then you still have to have a little patience. Have some patience, take 2 or 3 weeks to literally try them out. And what I found is that these virtual assistant companies, one, a lot of the virtual assistants are coming from countries like India and like the Philippines, right? But
Hmm.
the benefit is that these companies will give you a trial basis, meaning they'll give you 10, 15, 20 hours up front. They'll be like, look, try the virtual assistant for 20 hours or 15 hours. Let us know how you feel. If they're not great, we'll find you someone new. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
I would say anybody that needs assistant, take advantage of that. You know, the other obstacle that you're going to face with virtual assistants, and again, I say that they're not ready always for your personality. The other reason that they're not ready for your personality is that there's a big cultural difference. Okay,
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
somebody from India, they're great. Like I have 4 or 5 developers now that I work with that are from India, and I work with them on a daily
Wow.
basis through Skype, through email, through WhatsApp, whatnot. But it's taken time for them to even understand the lingo. Like when they sometimes
Mm.
respond, it's English, but it's like a broken form of English. So you get it,
Got it.
they may not. You get it, but they also get it based on how they worded it, and which is confusing, right? Because if they worded it wrong, they have a totally different meaning of how they structured their response or their sentence. Like I know what
Yep.
they mean, but they didn't say it the way that we would talk to each other. Like if I was talking to
Hmm.
you, I might say, "Look, I need you to redevelop the header of this website." They may, they
Yeah.
may say, you want me to whatever. The point is that there's a breakdown of communication that you have to rebuild. So every virtual assistant, you have to rebuild a specific level of communication with that one virtual assistant. You can't base what the previous person did on what they're doing now because it won't never line up the exact same. So I would
Mm.
say don't be discouraged from getting a virtual assistant because they're pretty cheap. Like the ones that I utilize from time to time or had utilized, you're talking like $4 an hour, right?
Wow.
$4.25 an
Keep
hour.
hearing that. I keep hearing that, man.
I
Man.
I will send you the links separately. And this is legit,
Man.
legit. You want somebody full time, working 40 hours a week. That's what 160 hours a month. You can pay as little as $600, $700. Okay,
Wow.
and for a month, you could be making 300%, 400%, depending on what type of task you're involved in. Okay,
Yep.
so that's the one thing as an obstacle. The other thing as an obstacle was one responding to email addresses. So as I said, like yes, I combined or made some sort of conglomerate of 7 or 8 email addresses into one account. But then it's actually reading through those. You know what I mean? So what I had
Hmm.
one virtual assistant do, a female, I gave her access to all my email accounts. I said, look, only thing I need you to do, I don't need you to respond to no emails. Only thing I need you to do is go through my emails and find the money, right? Find what I missed,
Mm.
okay? If somebody sent me a request 2 months ago and I didn't see it, maybe because 50 emails came through and they got pushed to the bottom. If it's not on the first screen of your email, it's tough to find it later, right? But
Exactly.
at the
Yep.
same time, some of those emails could just be sitting in spam or junk. You know what I mean? They were intended to be at the top of your list because of some wording in the Google algorithm. They ended up in the spam and the junk mail. So her job was
Hmm.
literally just to go through and find out if I didn't respond to a particular
Wow.
email. Yeah. And then on top of that, I had her do like research stuff. Like here's my client. This is the industry that they're in. I need you to come up with some phrases, that I can use for social media posts. So she would go and she would get the client. She knew what the client website was and what they were about, but she would literally start generating ideas. And you have to understand that for some virtual assistants, the only reason I use them is to help generate ideas. It's not
Mm.
necessarily that it's not that I need them to necessarily create the social content. It's the fact that you, instead of talking to yourself, sometimes you gotta talk to a real person. You know what I mean? Because that is
Yes.
the only way
Yep.
that you're gonna get through it. You can second guess yourself all day long, all night long, and you could be arguing with 5 different personalities in your own mind. But to solidify that, what we need as entrepreneurs at times is a second opinion. And it has to be a second opinion from someone that you trust. It has to be a second opinion from somebody that is fairly familiar with your industry or fairly familiar with what you're trying to do. You always see on social media, do not get consultation from someone who has never tried what you're trying to do. Because
Yes.
what
Yes.
the heck can they tell you? Yeah, they may be
Yep.
a second opinion, but how do you know that second opinion isn't based on fear? You know what I mean? Like, I had a guy tell me this years ago. I was like, you know what? I'm about to do, because I've done, I've outsourced print work. So I've been a print broker. I still am a print broker, which means that I get print work for a wholesale cost and basically upcharge that cost and send that out. But the point of it is that I was like, you know what? I'm going to be one of the biggest printers in the United States. And for me, like I said, I got big visions, you know? It may not happen, but tell me this. If you say you're going to go to the moon, right? And that is your destination, why are you only going to the end of the street and then giving up? You know what I mean? You didn't even go a mile. The moon is how many miles away? I don't even know.
You can say that again.
8,000 miles.
Yep.
800,000 miles. I don't know. Now, I should know that. But the point is that if you set higher goals, you're going to end up, even if you fall short, okay, you're going to fall at some point. It may not be a big fall, but something is going to rock your path along the way, and there's going to be an obstacle that stagnates, leaves you stagnant, okay? But by setting those super big goals, even if you fall short, you're going to be much further ahead than somebody else that said, you know what, I just want to go a mile away. It's like, no, my drive and determination is to go to the moon. So even if I fall after making it only 300 miles, guess what I accomplished? 300 miles is a success, right? It's better than the guy that said he's only going to go around the block, okay? Some people have visions that are way too small. And that's one thing that I've learned over the years as an entrepreneur. Dream big, give it all you got, okay? If you're going to consult with God. If you are not in the position to hear what God is telling you, find somebody else that is, okay? Find somebody that's rooted in your same avenue of faith that you know is not going to steer you wrong, and get a second opinion from them. But remember, the key things are you're going to get a better outcome to your question if it's somebody that has the experience that you're looking for. They've experienced either what you've experienced or something similar to what you've experienced. And that's why I like some of the mentors that I have, is because they're in the industry in a sense, and they've been able to say, you know what, it may not look bright, but keep on going. If nothing else, keep on going.
Keep on going.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wow, you dropping some big gems on me, Rick.
We talk all day.
No, I love it, man. I love it. Wow, I love it. I didn't even think about, as far as like the virtual assistant, as what you were saying. Like I've been told about virtual assistants plenty of times and thinking about using them, but not on the idea of using to get additional ideas from them or extra eyes. You know, I was really just, I mean, honestly, just thinking about employee, like how can I get them to do this and this for me? But thinking of that way too can get me some extra gems and some extra, get some more value out of them, which I think is great.
Yeah. So
I think it's great.
So with that being said, and this is the question, I mean, this is what I'm about to say is probably going to rub a few people the wrong way, but I got to say it.
Say it.
So listen, there's AI software now, okay? So what have you done with AI? Have you done anything with AI recently? Or?
A little bit. Use it to help get some ideas and do some things, but I'm trying to get deeper into it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really trying to take advantage of using it.
Okay, what platform have you used?
I use ChatGPT. I use Google Bard.
Yep.
Some smaller like designing type of apps that you can
Yeah.
do where it helps design like thumbnails and stuff like that. Not on a huge scale, but a smaller scale. But I have, yes.
So my favorite platform right now is ChatGPT. Okay. So it's got a lot of look. It's got positive press. It's got negative press. You know what's
Mm-hmm.
attractive about it though is one, ChatGPT when they went live, everybody else tried to go live too. So again, you mentioned Google Bard. Google Bard came
Mm-hmm.
out after ChatGPT. They rushed it once ChatGPT was out. They were like, "Look, we got to drop
Yep.
ours." Microsoft's version of it came out and flopped. You know what I mean? In the media, doesn't mean that it's not useful
Mm.
now. I just mean when it first came out, it flopped. Right? Uh,
Yeah.
Microsoft integrated their AI into Skype, which I use Skype every day with some of these freelancers and stuff like that. And it just didn't function. Like I started asking a question, it was like, I can't answer that question. So I'm like, so I tried to tell it to uninstall itself. It's like,
Oh
uninstall
my,
yourself, then. It's
oh
like,
my goodness.
yeah,
Oh man, you
it's like if you can't go away, then you're useless, you know. But listen, let me tell you something about ChatGPT. Can I talk about ChatGPT for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, as an entrepreneur who has, look, I've worked in environments when I've been on a team, okay? So
Mm.
I talked about like working for a hospital. That was my first corporate job. I was the video guy, I was the webmaster, I was taking physician photos, I was writing press releases, doing all these things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
After that role, I worked for a smaller company that was more like a 8-man team, and we were doing development for home builders. Okay, so I was
Mm-hmm.
literally like a front end developer slash graphic designer for this company.
Wow.
So that's another aspect of it. Outside of that, I've worked. I got obviously for smaller companies doing whatever they needed, media support. I also worked for a church in Chicago as a freelancer for 6 years, and I just literally ended that maybe 3 months ago. And I'm still
Wow.
on. I'm still on board though as a fill-in. Like so, I was their lead editor for 6 years, and this is a big like
Wow.
mega church in Chicago. But let me tell you, ChatGPT. Before I go ChatGPT, let me tell you one more thing. Is that I've
Mm.
also done email marketing. So I've helped other companies. Like there was a company that I was working with that had the email addresses, had the account, but I was doing all the design work for them, and I was doing all the email setups. So I was going in there scheduling, making sure the links are right, and adding everything that's pertinent to that campaign. That's all I did. They said, "Hey,
Mm.
here's the information. This is the list they need to go out to." I would design it, I would test it, I would set it up, and I would mail it out. So I've done all that, all those things. ChatGPT though is powerful. As an entrepreneur, I don't listen, man. I'm unfiltered right now. I really don't
Hey,
care.
go ahead.
People hate this because it's good and it's bad. The bad part of ChatGPT is that it's powerful. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
as you heard and seen in the news, people are losing jobs. Some people are losing jobs over this. I mean,
Yes.
it could be other reasons. There could be productivity reasons. There could be financial reasons. But the biggest takeaway from this is that it's a powerful piece of software, and it's only becoming more powerful. So I don't
Yep.
use it for anything malicious per se. And recently, ChatGPT was allowed to browse the web. They removed that feature because people started using it maliciously.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
got it.
So
Okay.
be, before they bring it back, obviously there's going to be some modifications to it. But I'm telling you right now,
Mm.
when that window was open, the first thing I did, I said, analyze this website. Tell me what's wrong with the SEO. And it would literally go analyze the page, and it would
Dang.
say, you know what, you could be writing it like this, or you could do it that way. I was like, sold. Let's go. It's like, you know what? Generate some keywords for me. Find me the latest hashtag on Instagram that I can use to help promote this business. Within 5 seconds, I'm like, sold. Let's go.
Yep.
Guess
Yep.
what? I'm like, look, I got to edit this video. The client sent me this concept for this video. This is the nature of what it's about. What would be some great visuals that I could use to help support this concept? 10 seconds later, sold. Let's go.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So when you save time like that, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. There's been instances where I've been behind on projects. You know what I mean? Like, or I built a new landing page for a client, and now we got to send out an email campaign. Go to ChatGPT. I'm like, look, here's the page. Now I need you to write an email for me that I can send out. It's going to be a cold email. The thing with ChatGPT is that you have to be specific about what you need.
Yes.
So look, I need to send out a cold email to graphic designers, print company, blah, blah, blah. Here's the name of the site. Here's the logo. This is what we do. We're sending out DTF or direct to transfer prints. It spits out an email. I'm like, okay, cool. I need you to spit out 7 more emails for me, different content, but along the same lines. Within 2 minutes later, it spits out 7 new emails for me.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That being said, as an entrepreneur, you need those productivity hacks. If you talk about saving time, right? You know, I've had it spit out contracts for me. I need you to write a contract, even though it's basic, that says these line items and fill it in. It spits it out. Now, you obviously, when you're using ChatGPT, need to be the expert. You still have to be the expert. You still have to go back and read the content and say, this will work. No, this won't work. Oh, I like this. Okay, I like this part of it. Okay, take this part out. Leave this in there. Expand on this topic. Boom. It writes it and spits it out. So it's written scripts. Freaking whole entire video scripts. I've taken somebody sent me a script before and was like, can you read this? I'll put it in ChatGPT and say, interpret the script. Just tell me what it means. Like, I want it to tell me, if it tells me a meaning that's in line with the way that I think it is, then it's good. Yeah. Okay?
Wow.
It spit out scripts. And it's crazy, man, because you can use it for so many different things. Here's another random thing I did. I was like, you know what? Just doing life, right? Okay, JDL, just doing life. Okay, using JDL as an acronym, I need 18 phrases that I can use that are positive in nature that I can use for social media posts. It spits them out. Literally, jovial, discovery, loving, or just doing life plus jumping, dancing, laughing, whatever. So I use that same theory and I said, okay, now I want to use JDL for comedy. I need an acronym for JDL that represents things of a comedic nature. And I need about 20 of these phrases. Bro, it spit out 60 of them. So now I just copy and paste. Just copy. Yeah. And when it spit out, now you can go back and expand on them. Be like, oh, you spit out 60. All right, what I need you to do is write 60 social media posts for each one of these 60 acronym topics. It spits all that junk out. Bro, I
didn't even think about going that deep into it. Yeah, okay.
Listen. Gotcha. You can train it to do whatever you want, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you something that I did, and I did it for fun. You can even edit this part out later. Because I was curious. I was curious. Because here's the thing. ChatGPT can interpret code. So if I'm working on a WordPress site or doing some HTML or basic PHP stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't work. Like, why is this not working? I take that block of code, I paste it into the ChatGPT window, and I just say, tell me what's wrong with this. It says, oh, well, this is wrong. Just put an exclamation point right here, and it spits it all out. I copy that,
really,
back into my page, and guess what? The freaking thing works. You know what I mean?
Really?
And then here, let me give you one more example of ChatGPT, just as a test. Like, I'm walking around the neighborhood, right? And I see that somebody had dropped like a ticket, like a lottery scratch ticket, right? So I pick it up and I'm like, there's writing on it. Guess what? There's writing on it. Now, I know what you're thinking. I didn't do that. But it's not that it's impossible. So I pick up this ticket, right? And I'm like, there's writing on it. They wrote dates and they wrote addresses. So there was like 6 dates and 6 addresses. And basically it said, this gas station here at this time of day. So it was like 8:37, gas station at the corner of Street 1 and Street 2. 8:15 a.m., gas station corner of 35th and 27th. So what I interpreted is that they're literally buying the same ticket at every single gas station to improve their odds, right? But also on the back of this ticket, what I noticed is that it shows your ratio of potential wins. So if it's say it's $1 million grand prize, it'll say one of 1.75 thousand million whatever, okay, to hit $1 million. For the $10,000 range, it'll say 3 in 10,532 will win a $10,000 prize. Then it says $1,000. 15 out of 200,000 people will win $1,000, right? So you get the concept. It shows you what your breakdown is. What it doesn't tell you is how many tickets are in what location around the state, how many tickets are in your neighborhood in which you live and where you typically buy tickets. So what this person was doing, and this is all interpretation, is that he's going around to all these stations, grabbing the same ticket, keeping track of that so that he can improve his odds. They say you should always buy the same ticket and just stick with it. And eventually, blah, blah, blah. Other people say, sprinkle the money around. And I say that because I watched a video recently of somebody I knew. They were like, yeah, I got tickets for this lady. And she was like, oh, just put it on one. And he's like, no, honey, you got to sprinkle it around. Put 2 on that, 5 on that. So what I did as a test is that I took that same ticket home, right? I was like, okay, let me Google this. So I Googled it, right? You pull up the state website. On the state website, there's a lottery section that says what's been claimed. That'll have all the tickets listed, ticket types. You got your $1 million ticket, you got your $20 ticket, you got your $10. It tells you what's been claimed. So now I said, you know what, ChatGPT, guess what? Ticket A has 10,000 tickets left. The ratio is 1 to 200,000. Okay, that's component number 1. Ticket 2 has 25,000 left, but the ratio to win at this rate is blah blah blah. I said, so what's my ratio of winning if I go buy 10 of these tickets? It does the math, bro, but you have to feed it the information. But it spit it out. It says your probability of winning $10,000 is like 10 to $200,000 if you're buying this ticket. But if you get this ticket over here, the probability is even greater. Yes, that's ChatGPT for you.
Wow. I didn't even think about going that deep, but now you're gonna make me think about some business stuff on a whole nother level.
Hey, look, a whole nother level. And this is what I'm saying. As an entrepreneur, you've got to be able to try different things, even if you're not really versed well with it or you're not fully comfortable with it. That's an example of only one platform out of multiple platforms that you can utilize with a little bit of creativity. And this goes back to the virtual assistants and the people that may have experience in your industry. You take all that data that you've listed, that you've been listening to, try to formulate some sort of thought process behind it, and then try to formulate some sort of plan behind that thought process. If you don't have anybody else to bounce ideas off of, you use AI software, because then at least it's unbiased, right? It's not going to be like, well, I love you, so I don't want you to go this route because I know you're going to have broke in 2 weeks. I don't want you to go because you decided that you wanted to do this. It's like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're not afraid to at least try, and this isn't so far out of your comfort zone, then maybe you should try it, okay? Because it's not one size shoe fits all when it comes to being an entrepreneur, from the marketing to the promotion to the accounting. And I hate accounting. Like, don't get me wrong, I know how to manage my money, right? But from an accounting side of it, it's above my head. It's like the deductions to the percentage that you can actually spend in this arena over here, to the equipment purchases, to, unless you're paying all cash or you're not using any form of credit, no matter what, it can get really complicated. And then
Yep.
documenting all that is really even more complicated. So that's not an area that I'm well versed at. And that's not an
Mm.
area that I'm going to send to Chat GPT either because it's sensitive information. But when you're talking about concepts and you're talking about plans behind those concepts, use the freaking software. You know what I mean? Use that software to at least get you from point A to point B. You know, point B to point C might be different. At that point, you may have
Yeah.
made enough money or you have run into somebody that you can partner with that has given you the jewels that you need to get from C to D. But start off with A to B, use the software. I don't feel guilty using it because, one, I'm not using it maliciously. But two,
Hmm.
I can't afford to hire John and Sue and Sally over there at $100 an hour to help me understand how to market this business. I have to do what I have to
Yep.
do from a ghetto survivalist perspective, right? Because
Mm.
I'm an entrepreneur, every dollar counts, right? You're
Yeah.
going to run out of money eventually. Some of you don't run out of money, and I'm talking to other entrepreneurs. But I'm telling you, if you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're doing something that has a big vision, there's going to come a time when that money is not going to flow at the same rate that you need it to flow. So you've
Yep.
got to have these productivity hacks. ChatGPT costs me $20 a month for a paid account. $20 a month. And I use it every day for little things. You know what I mean? Like I do events as well. So I have timelines that I write for each of one of these events. And these are like private, smaller events, but I'll say, look, we need to add in, this particular ceremony or this. Here's my timeline. Where's the most efficient place I can add this? Now I know I know the efficient place to add it because I've done events long enough to know a certain flow. But if I'm not
Hmm.
sure about it, just send it to ChatGPT and get a second opinion. It may be wrong, it may be right, but at least you can feel confident that you made the right decision on your own. Okay?
Mm.
And there's
I have
more.
a question.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I got a question before I forget, right? So, and it's crazy that you brought this up, right? There's this guy, I forgot what his name is. I might need to send it to you. But he was on either Instagram or YouTube, and I just happened to come across the video. He's challenged and used ChatGPT to be like his content assistant or something like that. And it's like, I want you to get me 100,000 or 1 million followers or something by a certain amount of time, and you're gonna write the scripts for me. You're gonna do all the planning, do all something. And he's actually doing it, and he did it in the time, and he's like documenting that he's doing it.
Woo!
Obviously, like the buzz about it is getting a whole bunch of people to look at it too as well. It's a great marketing concept, but I literally tried to ask it something like that, and it's saying like I don't have like the capacity or whatever. I can't do that. So my real question is like, what is like the real difference between like the free and like the paid version of it? Because I've heard about the paid version, but I've never really looked into it that much like that. And you said you pay $20 a month
Yeah.
for it.
So I don't know the full laundry list of differences, right?
Yeah.
But on the base level, the one thing that you get with the paid version is one, you get the beta releases early. So you get to utilize the plugins. So like the free version right now is just a free version, just an algorithm
Yep.
or an AI bot that you can literally download to your computer. Like I have
Yep.
this ChatGPT on my PC, and I have
Yep.
ChatGPT running on my Mac, and I have
Yep.
ChatGPT running on my phone. Right. So the basic
Yep.
version, the paid version gets you a more advanced response. You get like ChatGPT 4 versus ChatGPT 3.5. The paid version
Got it.
also had allowed you to browse the web directly, not through an API. Like you can still get an API, which means it's the back end communication between different platforms. But with the paid version, you get the front end ability to browse websites.
So
Uh,
is that why, not to keep cutting you off, is that
yeah.
why I've tried to put in my link
Mm-hmm.
for a site, and I was like, tell me about this site or something, and it was like I can't browse the
Yeah.
web. So it
Exactly.
would be able to do that if I had the you
You have
get
the paid
see you
version, and
mm,
once they re-enable it, like so they just disabled it maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago because people were using
right.
it maliciously. But if you're a
Yep.
developer and you have an API, you can use it for whatever. You know what I mean? But
Wow.
trying to get that set
Wow.
up as a developer is not. It's not an easy process. Okay, it's not the
Wow.
extreme, but it's not an easy process. So, but that's the big
Yep.
difference is that you weren't allowed to browse the web. You know.
Wow. Okay. That could definitely be a big changer. Yeah, I've seen the plugins too.
Oh, yeah.
I also saw another video somebody was talking about, and I made like a short about it. I was just trying like a different personality type of on one of my videos, and it was how to write a book in one click. It's AI PRM,
Yeah.
and I downloaded it and I put like a affirmation book, and I was like, dang, like it spit out all the chapters and everything real quick like that, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
So, okay, definitely, yeah, I'm definitely gonna start using that, and then definitely, y'all not hearing what he's saying, you definitely gotta start using
Now look.
that stuff 100%.
So here's one of the negative things, and we talked about it before. Like, there's positive things and there's negative things about ChatGPT. Like, one of the negative things in the media was that there was some copyright infringement in regards to some of the content it was spitting out. So you have to remember
Yep.
that prior to being able to get on the net, or prior to it allowing you to do a live search,
Hmm.
basically it's a conglomerate of data, right? And how do they get
Yeah,
the data? You know how they get the data?
I don't. I don't.
Okay. So the data is fed to it, right? So in two different ways. One, there's human interaction. So there's humans that are behind the scenes, spitting out questions, asking ChatGPT, rating the responses, right? Okay, this is a great
Hmm.
response, bad response. Those are guidelines. That's one of the reasons that you can actually train it to do different things for you specifically. One of the powers behind ChatGPT is the individual chats. It's because every time you start up ChatGPT, you get a new chat field, right? And
Yep.
anything that's in that particular chat, one, it's archived, it is saved. But anything in that chat, even if it's like 1,000 pages long, it remembers what's in that chat. So you could be
Mm.
5 months later with this long chat feed that you've just been using to generate ideas. You've been using to hash out concepts.
Mm.
You can be like, look, I made a reference to something way back when, and you don't know where it is. You've been scrolling and you can't find it. But as long as you stay within that same chat, it just builds upon that chat, and it gives you answers based on the previous content that you fed it, and it also fed you. So that's one powerful thing about it is that you never really lose your concepts. You know what I mean? You only can further develop it unless you literally delete that chat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
All right.
anyway,
You didn't.
wait a minute. I forgot because we were talking about copyright infringement stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Of course, there's going to be some content that has been written before, or a variation of it has been written. But you can tell ChatGPT to rewrite the content, and once you rewrite it, you can tell it to write it from a different voice. Like you said, it could be from the perspective of you can say, "Look, I want you to act like you're a doctor." Or I want you to act like you're CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Or I want you
Mm.
to act like an administrator at a school. Now, with
Wow.
that persona, this is what I need. Bro,
Wow.
use that as a test. Get
I
some
didn't
basic.
even think about that.
Look, I ain't think about it either. It's all the continuing education. You know what I mean? As an entrepreneur, you better be studying. All the continuing
Yeah.
education is what you need. So I'm watching videos and YouTube and whatever, and I came across that concept of the persona. Changed my life,
Wow.
man. Changed my life because
Wow.
people don't like to use it because it's general. If you don't know how to make it be
Use it.
specific or niche person in perspective, it's general
Yeah.
responses. As soon as you give it a persona and feed it specific information, which is details about that subject matter, that's when you start to see the power of ChatGPT. Okay, it's just like a kid. You ask a kid what is a computer, they'll be like, I don't know, it's a box or it's a screen or it's something that can help you write a report type thing, right? But
Hmm.
you say, Well, give me the answer from the perspective of a computer science major or somebody that has a doctorate degree in computer science. Oh, well, it's a device used to compute calculations and manage information at a high rate of speed. Whatever. It's just the fact
Yep.
that you asked it from a different persona. And that is
Wow.
ChatGPT.
Wow.
Conversational
No,
genius.
yeah. You got me thinking about a whole bunch of stuff right now.
And that's the point.
Wow.
It's like people be holding on to information. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not out there blabbing this stuff out. You're not going to see my blog and I'll be like, look, this is what I learned today. This is what's going on. It's like you
Yeah.
learn it, you retain it. When you're asked about it, at least you know. And since you're blessing me by having me on this show, I'm giving you what you want.
Oh, man, that's perfect. I'm gonna have to separate these into separate ones. Have more than one show. Have more than one episode. That's perfect,
Yeah.
man. No,
Yeah.
that is perfect. That is perfect. Okay, wow. So, last question that I got for you: if somebody wanted to get into the apparel brand or the clothing business, like what you're doing, what
Yeah.
would you recommend? Like how they started, or how should they start? What should they look for? What should be some things they should focus on to get started in that business?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It's not really tough. Get a concept, get an idea. Like you can start with anything. A lot of people have shirts that are, text based. They're not even really
Hmm.
graphic based. But here's the thing, with a text based shirt, that could be your start. Okay. The only things you need the concepts, you need the medium. So what type of apparel? So is it t-shirts? Is it hoodies? Is it fitted hats? Is it socks? Is it yoga pants? Whatever it
Hmm.
is. The goal after that point is you're going to try to find that content at the least expensive price possible. Okay.
Okay.
If you don't have the ability to, get the stuff manufactured, and I could talk about how Just Doing Life started, but if you don't have the money to get that stuff manufactured, start going to clearance racks. You know what I'm saying? Like for most apparel and concepts, people like stuff that's been remixed. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you can go to Target, and what I've done is you can go to the clearance rack at Target. Sometimes there's off sizes. Like there might be 5 large of this shirt. It might be 3 large of this pair of jeans, but they're like name brand things that are $8, $7. You're like, okay, as you're buying that, you're like, what can I do to this to resell it?
Mm.
Throw a logo on this. I could throw a logo on that. It's already a name brand product. You know what I
Wow,
mean? So
that's a good one.
sell that, right?
Hmm.
The other thing is there's a lot of wholesale sites that are online. You're like, wow, what's wholesale? Wholesale again is you're getting things at cost, at a business price that is in essentially pre-tax phase. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, some of these companies will ask for things like a resale license, right? The popular sites ask for a resale license. The ones that are well known, they're going to ask for a
Okay.
resale license, and you may not have that yet because you're just starting your business or whatnot. But you need
Hmm.
that price break. Well, there's other sites that don't even ask for that. They'll give you the stuff at wholesale price, and they don't care if you have a resale license or not. It's the fact that you're buying it, and it's legal to do that. Okay,
Mm.
but obviously, once you get to the phase where you're like on a Nike level, a resale license, because now you're drawing a lot of attention. You making
Yep.
millions of dollars a year. There's no reason for you not to have the things that
Not
you
that
need.
one.
But they'll say as an
Yep.
entrepreneur, even if imagine the smallest business that you can start legally with paperwork is a sole proprietorship, right? Like
Hmm.
that's the most minimum level. There's no protection. You know what I mean? Like you're a sole
No.
proprietor. Yes, it is a name. You can do DBA, doing business as, but there's no real protection behind it. But the fact
Yep.
is that you literally have a legal sole proprietorship. That's enough to get started. So once you're starting, do the sole proprietorship. At least it's a form of business, but it's also more than that. It's a first level goal. Remember the A to B, the B to C, C to D. Sole
Yep.
proprietorship is your first level of entrepreneurship, right? Get that business. If you have the money to go ahead and file with the state to get a LLC or S corp or whatever, definitely do that route. But the first thing is
Hmm.
concept. Second thing is a medium. And then the third thing, which is the difficult part, is for some people, and even for me, is the challenge is getting people to actually want to wear your merchandise. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't always going to happen. I tell you right
Mm-hmm.
now. The smaller you are, the more scrutinized you become. Nike. Do you think Nike is answering questions about, the nature of your sex and your demographics? You know what I mean? No.
Yeah.
You think Champion is out there selling stuff based on, I got heterosexuals or, non-gender people over here?
Yeah.
No. They're just selling merchandise. But now as an entrepreneur that's just starting their business, you have to rely on, first thing is the people that you know, okay? But the problem with me is that, yes, I know a lot of people, but I found that once I'm out in the public's eye, like if I'm out there like networking or I'm out there at events, that seems to push a better response than me just being online saying, hey, I got this arrow, because
got it.
When I talked about the economy, when the economy's bad, your money flow goes down as well. It doesn't mean that people they don't like your stuff. It's that when the money is tight because of the economy or inflation and all that, people are saving their money to buy the things that they really want, not the things that they like or think they would like to have. And as a new business with a new brand, you're in the category of, I wouldn't mind having that. Oh, I would like to have that. But it's not a necessity. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that I have to have. So I talk about that because I talk about, there's this book I read, 10X by Grant Cardone. Are you familiar with that?
I am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
I haven't read it, but I am.
It's a powerful book, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. Grant Cardone is in the news recently over kind of like a scandal type thing. Don't get me wrong. Like, he knows what he's talking about definitely from a motivational aspect. I can't say that his advice is something that everybody can follow because, once again, there's no single path in the entrepreneur world that is always going to work for you like it worked for someone else. But the one thing that I took away from reading this book, and actually I have it on audio as well, is that the 10X process. And like on my mirror, and I know you can't see my mirror, but behind my mirror, I have a formula, and it just says E over 10X, right? So Grant Cardone's perspective is that in order to make change basically in your life or to impact in any industry, you need to be doing 10 times as much as what you would normally do. So if you're posting once a day, you need to post 10 times a day. And it doesn't mean that you need to post 10 times a day. It just means you need to exponentially increase your efforts in order to see the results that you want to see. Any event, you invite 1,000 people to an event. What's the ratio that 1,000 people are going to show up?
Yeah, I know about that. Promoting, you got to promote to way more. Yes, I understand.
Because it's only a percentage. So take that and multiply it times 10. Maybe if you multiply your efforts times 10, you're going to get that 20% that you wanted. But if you don't, you're going to get with that 5%. Okay? So 10x everything. So on my board, as a daily reminder, I have E over 10x. And then on top of that, I have 4 arrows pointing out from the E. So you got E over 10x, and then I have 4 arrows pointing out from there. So for me, that means that E stands for everything. It's like everything that I want to accomplish, I need to 10x. But in order to streamline that so that it's not 10x walk my dogs 10x times more a day or 10x more dishes tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 4 arrows help me define what those 4 things should be for that period of time. So one of the arrows may be just doing live social media. It's like 10x the social media side because, again, you're early in the stages of that brand. In order to grow, you need to have continual content that people are drawn to. But on top of that, you don't know what they're drawn to. You only think you know what they're drawn to. So in order to find that out, the last 2 years have been me testing everything. Testing motivational posts, testing self videos on camera that I'm posting up, testing what's the difference if I take this into Photoshop and do some cool artwork behind it, right? Testing on what happens when I post just the product photos up. What happens if I post the product photos of someone wearing the products onto the page, right? What happens if I post the same thing on Instagram versus posting it on Facebook, right? Like, what's the response? Oh, 1,000 people on Facebook like this post, or 200 people. But on Instagram, only 20 people like this post. Okay, so what does that tell me? Right from the beginning? Maybe my brand needs to be more on Facebook than it needs to be on Instagram. These are not like difficult comparisons, but this is the type of data that other companies that are marketing companies will try to sell to you. They'll say, look, find your target market. This is how we're going to find your target market. So what did I do? Paid for a $5 ad on Facebook. I'm like, okay, cool. These are my top 4 posts, meaning they have the highest level of engagement. Fine. Let's put $5 behind each one of them. Not $100,000 or $500, not $50. $5 behind each one to find out, once I boost this post and I choose my target audience, will it work? Okay?
Yeah.
The next ad or the next post, use the same target audience and document whether or not the response increased or not. Once you get all that data down, and it takes time, then you have a better position on who you should be marketing to. And it might even be just the type of apparel. So I have 2 different kinds. I have like really multiple kinds of apparel, you know. I have an apparel side of it, like this is the music side of it, which is based on my background in music. So I only promote this on my music channel, like on a high level on the music channel. But then I have other things that are slogan based or basically logo based that I promote on the Just Doing Life side of things. Because I know the music side, I have followers that are music oriented, right? They're not interested in my Just Doing Life logo based material. They're interested in things that speak to their culture, which is music. And for me, it's us, right? Like, I've been looking at this word for years. How did I not see us in music? All these years. I ain't never heard anybody else say, yeah, man, there's a US in the middle of music. Why is that? I don't know. I just know that I felt like God gave me that and told me, you know what? There's us in music. And that's what it is. Music is a language that speaks, that knows no bounds. It knows no demographic. It's just something that can be used to communicate to other people. But why did we miss the us? You know what I mean? Or why did I miss the us, bro? So with that being said, like, to get started, it's not a lot. You know, you can go 3 different routes. Like, the first thing I did with Just Doing Life is I had stuff manufactured. And this stuff came from Pakistan. It was manufactured in Pakistan. I gave a guy a chance. Hey, man, you go on Instagram, all these as soon as you put apparel, anything up, your inbox fills up with all these manufacturers. And out of 50 manufacturers, guess how many of them are in Pakistan? Darn near 48 of them. Darn near 48 of them, yes.
Wow.
That is like the biggest textile country in the world. Leather is one of their high-end products that they produce over there. Leather jackets, leather everything, custom materials. You want to get towels made and all that? They will literally make that stuff for you there. And it's cheaper than buying it in the U.S. So the first thing I did is I ordered some stuff from Pakistan. But I got 3 product types. The manufactured product, like, for example, I have a jacket that is sublimated, but it's a double-sided jacket. You can reverse the jacket, but it's full graphics on both sides. That was done over there. I also have the ability, I have a Cricut or Cricut machine, right, where you can basically plot vinyl graphics onto your screen and then literally cut them out on vinyl and then literally heat press them on the shirts. This is vinyl.
Okay.
This is not screen print. This is vinyl. Yeah.
Wow.
So I did this at home. You know what I'm saying? Designed the graphics in Illustrator. Again, graphic background. Got the Cricut that my wife told me about because after my first order, I felt defeated. I was like, you know what? I spent all these thousands of dollars on this material, and the product isn't moving the way that I thought it was going to move. So instead of waiting, because now you just ate up all your resources. So instead of waiting and hopefully selling that, She's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, there's this Kryka thing. And I always wanted a vinyl cutter. I just never had one. I was like, let me
Mm.
look that up. Looked it up. I was like, oh, this thing is gold. This is gold. And it don't cost that much. This is gold. So I got the cutter, started buying vinyl, bro. Started cutting out my stuff and getting it pressed on there and started selling that stuff. So you have that aspect.
Wow.
The third aspect, so first thing is manufactured products. The second
Okay.
thing is self-done products. So again, blank shirt. Where did I get this shirt? I got this shirt from freaking Target. Bro, look, this is a size large shirt. Now, this is the other thing that I had to do when testing new products. You have to wear them. You have literally got to wear them. Please do not start a brand thinking that you got a great deal on some t-shirts, some blank t-shirts, and then you put that junk on, you wash it 2 days later, and
Yeah.
your
And it's
extra large has now become a medium. It's somewhere
small.
between a
Yeah.
small and a medium. So part of starting a brand is discovery. It's due diligence. So I bought, a group of these shirts. I bought Bella Canvas shirts online. I bought Gilded
Mm.
shirts. I bought Hanes shirts. I bought Fruit of the Loom shirts. I bought Next Level shirts. I bought Port and Co. Company shirts. Brought them all in here. We started making stuff, right? Put them
Wow.
on, wear them for the day, throw them in the washer. The next day, I'm like, no, this shirt got to go. This is now, not covering my belly button. It started as large because I can't sell that. You know what I mean? I don't care what
Yeah.
price point that is. I can't sell that. I can't be like, oh, it's only $5 because people are going to say what? You get what you pay for.
Yeah. True.
So
Yeah.
that's the problem. So you got to test the merchandise. The first set of hoodies that I purchased, this is one thing that, again, I talked before about the language differences in different countries. Well, do you
Mm-hmm.
also realize that there's size differences too? So,
Yes.
look,
Yes.
but I wasn't thinking. I was thinking, oh, a large is a large. There should be a universal standard for what a large is. But a large in
Mm-mm.
Pakistan is not a large in the USA because a lot of those people are fit individuals. They're large.
Mm-hmm.
The way they like to wear the large is they want it to fit like a large. We say
Mm-hmm.
large, but really we want it to fit like an extra large. You know what I mean? We want it not to be so tight everywhere, but we want
Yep.
it to be a large, just a little bit big. So what I had to do is after the first set of hoodies, they came back, they felt a little tight in some aspects. Like they were the right size, but I was like, mm-mm. The next order, the mediums are now really going to be smalls. The larges are
Mm.
really going to be called the mediums. The extra larges are now going to be called the large, but what I need you to do is put an additional ½ inch in the neckline area. I need you to extend the base of the hoodie 2 more inches. So it's an interactive process. It's like once you go to the manufacturing side, it's a whole new world. You have got to have your
Mm.
artwork set up the way that they need it. They will help you lay it out into pattern format, but they're literally printing on material, cutting this stuff out. I'm getting videos as they're sewing stuff together, you know what I mean, so that they can show me progress behind it. So you got the
Wow.
manufacturer side, you got the at-home side, which people say I should promote more because a lot of people don't know that I was doing this at home. They were
I
like,
love
"Oh,
that shirt too.
bro." I'm like, you know what? I got all kinds of one-offs in here because I'm experimenting. But those 2
Mhm.
aspects, so you got manufactured, you got the self-made stuff at home, but then you also have screen print, which I also did at the beginning too. I did a ton of shirts that were screen printed. But the problem with the
Screen
screen printing is that once it's printed, that's just it. If you order 50 or 60 of them, boom, there's always a minimum, right? Some companies have a minimum of like 12 shirts that they'll print for you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Some of them will, if you want to save money, some of them will allow you to bring your own shirts, which is a huge advantage because if you buy shirts from them, they're going to mark it up anyway, right? But if you can go to one of these wholesale sites and get a shirt for $5, and again, it's a quality shirt, get your shirts. Take your shirts to the printer and let them they're going to charge you for the screens and they're going to charge you for the printing, but they won't be charging for the shirts and they won't be marking up the shirts. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to start your brand, the way you're going to save money, one of the key things, get your own shirts, make sure that they're quality, take those to the printer if you want to do screen printing. Now, if you're already selling products, you know what I mean? Like you're selling your shirts $25, $30 each, whatever. Then maybe, the screen printing is the best thing. I love screen print, but I found a number of alternatives. I mean, there's vinyl. There's even raised vinyl that literally, when you look at it and when you touch it, it feels like the texture of screen printing, but it's not. It's straight up vinyl. So I didn't pay for screens, the multiple screens or whatever. I only paid for the vinyl itself. And on any given sheet of vinyl, I can probably fit enough artwork to produce at least 2 or 3 shirts out of that one sheet of vinyl. So you're saving money, man. So you asked me, you're like, what could you do as a startup for a new brand? I would say, one, think of the different ways that you can do. You can provide your product to people. First thing, manufacturing. Second thing, you can do it at home, using vinyl, because you can put vinyl on shirts, pillowcases, jeans, backpacks, whatever. That's number 2. Number 3 is you can do screen printing. But number 4, which I didn't mention earlier, is you can use a site like, say, Printful.com, and it's Printful. The advantages,
I know about that.
Yeah, with those sites, you don't have to spend money up front. Okay, the orders are fulfilled as they come in. Now there is a disconnect in there. If you have your own website and you're doing a Printful, basically the order goes to your site. You're collecting that money, but before that order is fulfilled by Printful, they're going to charge you. So you always have to have a separate payment system set up for paying for orders that are going to be fulfilled through Printful, and then accepting orders to your own site. So those are 4 different ways, but the bottom line is find things that are priced properly. You might have to buy them in bulk. For example, this shirt is it's a Goodfellow shirt from Target. A friend of mine. Yeah, bro. Look, you can go there any given day where there's not a sale, and you can get this shirt for $8 off the rack, right? $8 off the shelf. Old Navy has a version of a shirt, a crew neck and a V-neck, that is $8 off the rack. Any color you want, quality name brand shirt, you're only going to pay $8 for that shirt. But when they go on sale, that $8 turned into $6. Look, let me tell you, you got to watch these sites for sales. This Goodfellow shirt, if you buy it by itself, it's $8, right? But if you buy it in a 4-pack, it's only $16. So why would you buy a single shirt when you could buy 4 shirts for $16? That makes that shirt about $4 or $5 per shirt. And if you're marking it up and selling it, even if you only sell it for a minimum of $15, look, man, you just made $10 because you bought a 4-pack off of each shirt. Okay. Now, 2 weeks ago, these shirts were on sale. Guess what? The 4-pack was now $11.99.
Wow.
Now I got short term. $11.99. Look, you know what I did? I decided that I have some people that want to be ambassadors, and they're some of them wear 3X, some of them wear 2X. Every single size of this shirt was $11.99 for a 4-pack. So you know what I did?
Really?
In my cart, I put 4 XXX. I put 4 2X. I put 4 larges. I put 4 medium. I put 4 smalls. Because now my shirt cost per shirt is around $3.50 to $4 per shirt. And that sale is only good until Sunday, so I'm going to stock up. You know what I mean? And while everybody else is buying one shirt for $8, I just got a 4-pack for $12. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things you got to do as an entrepreneur. You got to find the deals, and that part takes time. Old Navy has clearance things. I bought things on clearance where there's only 5 of them available. Bought them online. You spend more than $50, it's free shipping. Just like picking up groceries. You know what I'm saying? They're going to pick it for you. They're going to pull it for you. Look for the sites that have the deals, but they also have free shipping. So you get the deal on the product, but then you get it shipped for free to your house. You ain't got to spend time out there scavenging. You ain't got to waste gas. You ain't got to second guess yourself, because you know what you're going to do? I should have got that shirt back across town when it was $7. Oh, let me see if it's still there. Oh, but you didn't do it online, so now you got to drive all the way back over there, only to find out it ain't even there anymore because you second guess yourself and you should have did it from the beginning. So,
Mm,
and there,
wonderful.
yeah, man, and there's even more stuff. But again, as an entrepreneur, be conscious of your costs, be conscious of your sales. You got to be resourceful. Chat GPT, finding the sales, the virtual assistants, combining email addresses into one box. All that stuff, man, as an
I'm gonna use it.
entrepreneur, you got to be efficient and just be conscious and keep
I'm gonna
moving.
use it. Wonderful, wonderful. No, you. I mean, you dropped so much stuff in here. I wasn't even expecting this much stuff, which was great. All these gems. No,
Yeah,
I'm meaning like things that I'm really taking in and gonna implement like big time. Like definitely off top as soon as we get off this, so I have a whiteboard. You can't see it with my visions, my goals, the income I want to make and all that. That E over 10x, that's the first thing that's going up. I'm already stealing that. I'm telling
yeah.
you right now.
Yeah, look, I haven't
I'm
even told
I'm
anybody about
already
you. The first one. My wife is probably like, "What is he drawing now?" I'm like, you know what? Because you got to find ways to motivate yourself, man. Like we talked about
yes,
it. You're talking to yourself all day long. As an entrepreneur, you have got to find the motivation. Things ain't going the
you
way they're
do.
supposed to go, but you have got to break through on a daily basis. You got to find
Yes,
what motivates you on a daily basis. And little things like the E over 10X are reminders that hopefully sink in and become routine. You know what I mean? Become a
absolutely.
regimen for you. Your positive, wide thoughts have got to be a motivational factor. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. The ratio that what they say is that any business, any startup business, you know what? After the first year, how many businesses fail? It was a high number. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe like 60%, 70% fail after the first year. Anybody that made it
Yep.
to business within the third to fifth year, uh, 85% of them fail. Anybody that made it in business after 10 years, it's like somewhere between 80 and 90% of them fail. So if you want to be
Mm-hmm.
within that 10%, no matter what, even if you slacked off, even if you didn't cross your I's over here, cross your T's or dot your I's over there, you have got to find some form of motivation on a daily basis
Yes.
to keep going. And your vision board with the whiteboard and all that is exactly what people need. And we don't do it because I think that for some people, they're like, oh, I don't need something that simple. But it's the simple things that you really need to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
well, I'm going to, I got this. I got this. But it's like, but they say, like, if you write things down, you're more likely to do them than if it's just a
Yes.
statement of imagination that you just happen to throw it in the air. Because you're going to forget.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to forget.
Yep.
So,
Wonderful. Ricky, tell them where they can get your apparel, where they can find you on social media,
yeah.
so they can look you up after hearing or seeing this.
All right. So, because I would like to promote the brand specifically, I have two sites, and I did this specifically. The first site is justdoinglife.com. All right, so that's the first, like, kind of like the marketing side of it. It's just going to give you an overview of the product,
Mhm.
the mission, the vision, and all that. But if you want to purchase, there's a link on there that goes to shop.justdoinglife.com. That's where you're going to actually be able
Okay.
to put items into a cart and actually make that purchase as well.
Okay.
And with that, there's a million other domains. Every T-shirt concept has its own domain. For example, Music Us, which is this, it's
Okay.
musicisforus.com. But if you just go to shop.justdoinglife.com, you're going to be able to get to any of these other sub-brands that we're promoting and we're pushing out. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ricky. Man, I appreciate it. Big time.
Yeah, you're welcome,
Big
man.
time.
I'll talk
Big
to you
time,
soon.
big time, big time.
I
I owe
enjoyed
you
the
one.
conversation. Nah, man, I
Say
enjoyed
it
the
again.
conversation. So let's
Oh,
go.
good. Appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome.
All right.
All right, have a good day.